I took in a billionaire amnesiac, but what he forgot about my baby will shock you. The night was thick with tension as Riley stared down the empty hallway. The soft hum of the city echoed outside, but inside, all was silent. Too silent. Just hours ago, she rescued a man, no ordinary man, but a billionaire with no memories, not even his name. He was lying unconscious in the rain, drenched to the bone, when she stumbled upon him. His dark hair clung to his forehead, his skin paler than a ghost. But it wasn't just his looks that troubled her. It was the strange aura around him, a whisper of danger and mystery that sent chills down her spine. As Riley nursed him back to health, strange things began to happen. Objects around the house would shift overnight. She woke to find her late grandmother's locket mysteriously back on the table, a memento she thought lost forever. And then, there was this haunting sensation in the air, as if shadows lurked in every corner, watching her every move. Each creak of the old wooden floors made her heart race. She felt like she was living in a waking nightmare, yet the man, her mysterious guest, held her fascination. He was attractive in a rugged, raw kind of way, with dark brows that furrowed in confusion whenever he tried to remember who he was. But it wasn't merely his lost identity that unnerved her. No, there was something else, something darker. Whispers from her neighbors echoed in her mind. He's dangerous. You don't know what he's capable of. Those words pressed on her chest like a weight, adding to her fear. With her baby sleeping in the next room, fear clawed at her insides. What if this stranger held a secret that could harm them both? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With that reminder hanging in the air, Riley couldn't shake the sensation of dread. Late at night, when the moon hung high, she noticed him mumbling in his sleep, words she couldn't understand, but they felt familiar, like déjà vu wrapped in a shroud of dread. And then one cold, restless night, she opened her eyes to find him standing by the window, gazing out into the dark abyss. The way he stood there, lost in thought, made her heart race. Was he remembering something? The atmosphere thickened, every breath heavy with anticipation. What had he forgotten? Who was he really? She was drowning in questions, but the moment he turned to face her, the air crackled with tension. And what he said next would upend everything she knew. "What's wrong with my baby?" The room fell silent. Her breath caught in her throat. What did he know? What had he forgotten? The answer lay not just in his memory, but in the fabric of their lives, tangled tightly by fate. Would they unravel the truth together, or would it tear them apart? Riley's heart thudded against her chest like a drum. The world around her faded as his words hung heavy in the air, an unexpected dagger plunging deep into her fear. What did he mean? Was her baby in some sort of danger? "What do you know about my baby?" she whispered, her voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. His expression transformed from confusion to something inscrutable, dark eyes glinting with a mix of concern and something else, something buried deep within him. I don't know," he stammered, running a hand through his tousled hair. "But the name. I can almost hear it." He hesitated, as if searching for the right words, fragments of memories desperately clawing their way to the surface. Riley stepped closer, the sharpness of her own fear now fusing with curiosity. "You're scaring me. Please, tell me if you remember anything. Anything at all." The shadows in the room shifted, closing in as if they were listening. He took a shaky breath. "All I know is that I was running. Someone was after me, and there was a baby. No, not just any baby or baby." The chill in the air crept down her spine, as ice-cold as the night outside. "How could you possibly know that?" Riley demanded. She didn't want to let herself think it was true. Yet an unsettling instinct urged her to believe him, to listen. "I keep hearing a name," he continued, each word an echo from a realm she couldn't grasp. And in my dreams, I see shadows, dark figures. Someone wants to hurt you. To hurt your baby. Riley's breaths quickened, panic clawing at her throat. Her mind raced 3 steps ahead. Her baby, her little angel, the one thing in her life that felt safe and pure. What could this man, this stranger, possibly know that she didn't? Just then, a soft cry drifted from the next room, a reminder of the innocent life sleeping just beyond them. Riley's heart plummeted, the weight of dread heavy on her shoulders. "Stay here," she ordered, her voice steady despite the turmoil. "I need to check on him." But as she turned, she felt his hand grasp her wrist, the warmth of his skin igniting something deep within her, a need to understand. "Riley, wait," he whispered, urgency lacing his words. "If they're after the baby, we need to protect him. We can't stay here." "Who is after him?" The question spilled out, tinged with desperation. He opened his mouth, but the moment shattered by the sound of a loud crash from the hallway. Riley jumped, fear racing through her veins as a dark silhouette darted past the doorframe. Her heart raced, and uncertainty consumed her. "Stay close," she hissed, leading him toward the baby's room. They moved like ghosts, each creak of the floor amplifying the silence that chased them. The baby's cries grew louder, louder, as if sensing the impending danger. Riley flung the door open and dashed inside. The sight before her sent ice through her veins. A shadowy figure loomed over the crib, its intentions shrouded in darkness. Before she could react, a voice cloaked in malice filled the air. "You shouldn't have brought him here, Riley." Riley's breath hitched. What was happening? Who is this person? And why was her baby in the crosshairs? As she stepped forward, shielding the crib with her body, she felt the billionaire beside her, his body tense, ready to defend. But who was he? What did he know? The air shimmered with anxiety, and as the figure stepped into the light, Riley's world tilted on its axis. The person who stood there was someone she recognized, but never thought she'd see again, a ghost from her own past. Now, it's time you remembered everything. What did this mean for the baby and for her? What memories would resurface in the throes of this revelation? The stakes had never been higher. The truth, whatever it may be, loomed closer. Riley's mind spun, a whirlwind of confusion and recognition. It was her sister, Tara, though she had been missing for years, presumed dead. The rage and betrayal etched into her sister's face didn't match the warmth that Riley had once known. "What are you doing here?" Riley's voice quivered, igniting the tension in the room. Tara smirked, but there was a flatness in her eyes. "Oh, you don't really want to know, do you?" She stepped closer, her silhouette darkening the doorway. "But I'll tell you anyway. Your precious little baby, he's far more dangerous than you think. And I need him back." "Back? What the hell are you talking about?" The words tumbled out of Riley, her heart racing. The air thickened with dread, and her instincts screamed for her to catch her breath and think. She glanced at the baby, who was still wailing in the crib, oblivious to the storm brewing in the room. The billionaire beside her seemed to tense further, his shoulders squared. "Let's just get him out of here. Nobody needs to get hurt." Tara laughed, a hollow and mocking sound. "Oh, sweet little Riley, you really don't understand, do you? It's not just about getting him out, it's about where he belongs and where you don't. You're in the way." Her words sliced through the air like a razor blade. Riley's heart sank further. The room felt like it was closing in, each breath a labor. "What do you mean, where he belongs?" "I'm his mother. I want to let you take him." Tara's smile fell, and for a moment, a flicker of something vulnerable crossed her face. "It's not just your decision. There are forces at play you've never even contemplated. You think I'm the enemy, but I'm trying to protect you from far worse." "What could be worse than you?" Riley shot back, a mix of fury and disbelief surging through her veins. As Tara inhaled to respond, a subtle shift in her demeanor caught Riley's attention. The look in her sister's eyes morphed from mocking to something almost pleading. "You need to know the truth. The real reason I came back before it's too late." Without warning, a loud knock reverberated through the room, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps approaching. Riley's adrenaline spiked. "Shit, who is that?" The tension twisted tightly in the air. Tara's expression darkened again. "We don't have time for this. Take him and go now." Riley took a step back, instinctively blocking the crib with her body once more. "You're not taking my baby. Not now, not ever." A loud bang echoed from the front door, splintering the moment. The intruders were here. Someone was breaking in. Panic flickered in Tara's eyes as she glanced back at the door before shifting her focus back to Riley. "If you really care, you need to trust me. I want to help, but they won't stop until they get what they're after." Before Riley could even process the weight of Tara's words, the door burst open. Two dark figures charged into the room, their intentions clear in the coldness of their stares. "Get the baby," one shouted, lunging toward the crib. Riley's world flipped again. She grabbed the billionaire's arm, desperation clawing at her throat. "We can't let them take him. We have to fight." As chaos erupted, Riley realized every choice she made from this moment would shape their fate. She could see Tara caught between her motives and the billionaire, the stranger, who had called her baby his own in dreams. The stakes had escalated. Would they fight together, or would they all fall apart? Time was slipping away. Each moment felt critical, each second a matter of life or death. What shadows loomed behind the closed doors of the past, waiting for their next move? The truth was only just beginning to unfold. Riley's heart pounded as the intruders surged forward, their fierce determination glaring in their eyes. "Stay back," she shouted, her voice cracking. She raised her arm, ready to fight, but uncertainty gripped her. She had never been in a situation like this before. Her instincts battled against her fear. The billionaire, sensing the urgency, placed a protective hand on her shoulder. "We need to get you and the baby to safety," he murmured, urgency coloring his tone. "Follow my lead." In that frantic moment, Tara shifted slightly, her gaze darting between her sister and the men entering the room. "They're not just after the baby. They're coming for you too," she hissed. The urgency in her voice caused Riley to glance back at her sister. "Why? What do they want?" Riley felt her chest tighten. She was terrified, but now wasn't the time to back down. "I can't explain everything now, but just trust me," Tara pleaded. "They're part of something bigger, a group that desires control." Control? Over what? The question slipped out before Riley could silence it. She needed answers, but there was no time. The ground beneath her felt like shifting sand, an uncertain foundation crumbling away. The first intruder broke away from the group, sprinting toward the crib. "Get that baby," he yelled, his voice high with impatience and authority. "Stop," Riley screamed. The instinct to protect her child took over, and she lunged forward, aiming to block the path to the crib. The billionaire's grip tightened, but he knew she wouldn't back down. With a sudden swiftness, Tara moved to intercept the intruder. "No, you can't have him." Her body collided with the man, and they tumbled to the ground, grappling in an explosive clash of desperation. Riley felt a surge of fear and admiration for her sister. Tara was no longer the ghost of her past. She was fiercely alive, a warrior against the chaotic tide. But the other intruder closed in fast, his eyes locked on the crib like a predator preparing to strike. "Help Tara," Riley shouted to the billionaire. "I'll keep him away from the baby." "No." He grasped her arm, a blend of urgency and panic written across his features. "We must get you both out of here. I'm not leaving without him." Her voice was defiant, a shield against the chaos around her, with a fierce determination fueling her every move. Riley readied herself. She focused on the advancing intruder, her heart racing faster than a drumbeat. As he lunged for the crib, she reached and snatched a heavy decorative lamp from the nearby table. With a raw, emotional surge, she swung it at his head. The lamp connected, shattering like glass and scattering beautiful pieces across the floor with a deafening crash. The intruder crumpled to the ground, dazed and confused. "Now!" she yelled, turning to Tara and the billionaire, who were still engaged in their grappling match. Tara caught the man off guard with a swift kick, sending him staggering back. "Run!" Tara shouted. Together, they surged towards the door, when a loud, urgent ding erupted from the phone in the billionaire's pocket. He barely hesitated to pull it out, eyes widening with horror. It's a tracking signal. They know where we are. Riley's blood ran cold. Anxiety twisted in her gut. We have to move, now. What do we do? Panic clawed at her, but something deeper, something primal sparked to life within her. They were on the verge of uncovering hidden truths and unimaginable threats. As they rushed toward the exit, a blast of cold night air hit Riley's face, the invisible frights closing in behind them. She glanced back at Tara, searching for a glimmer of assurance, some missing piece of the puzzle. What had her baby gotten mixed up in? Was Tara truly a protector, or had she been using Riley all along? Just as they reached the stairs, a low growl echoed through the air, sending shivers down her spine. An unmistakable menace loomed on the threshold. Go! I'll hold them off, Tara shouted, pushing them ahead. Riley hesitated, torn between loyalty and fear, as her sister stood her ground, ready to face whatever horrors awaited. Don't think. Just run. With a flicker of indecision, Riley sprinted into the darkness, clutching the billionaire's arm. The shadows danced behind them, the weight of the unknown pressing down. But one thing was clear: the chase for her baby's life was far from over. The truth hung in the air, just out of reach, and somewhere in that chaos, Riley felt the twisted weave of destiny tightening around them. What awaited them on the other side of the door? The moment they burst through the door, adrenaline crackled in the air, each breath coming in jagged gasps. Riley could feel the chilling grip of fear tightening around her heart, squeezing the hope out of her. She didn't dare look back. Not now. Not when everything depended on putting distance between them and whatever horror lurked behind. Night enveloped them, shrouding the world in an inky blackness punctuated only by the distant glow of streetlights. The billionaire tugged her along, his grip firm yet gentle around her arm, as they darted into the alleyway. Shadows loomed on the periphery, pressing in, threats veiled by the cover of darkness. What now? She whispered, urgency lacing her words. He paused, his brow furrowed, the uncertainty evident. We can't stay out here long. They'll track us with that signal. His eyes darted back toward the door they'd just exited, as if expecting the intruders to burst through at any moment. Riley's mind raced. Her baby was still inside that house. Tara, the thought of her sister faced with those men, the men whose faces were twisted in cruelty, left a bitter taste in her mouth. What if we cannot go back, he interrupted, determination sharpening his voice. She made her choice. Pain flickered in his eyes. Did he hold the same fears? The same regrets for leaving someone behind? Just then, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed in the distance. Riley's heart surged. We have to move. She pulled him deeper into the alley, urgency driving her every step. They turned a corner, slinking through the garbage cans and shadows, desperate to hide. Let us find a car, he said, his eyes scanning for any escape. Riley nodded, her fists clenched tight. The bitter scent of dumpster refuse filled her nose, grounding her in the reality of their dire circumstances. But all her attention had turned inward, thoughts spiraling around her baby and Tara. What did her sister know that she hadn't shared? And why had she hinted at some elaborate scheme of control? The questions rattled through her mind like a wild storm. Just then, the sound of a voice sliced through the night, a voice she recognized. Riley. It was Tara's voice, shaky but strong. Relief washed over her like cool rain in the desert. Tara. Riley called back, the wall of fear momentarily parting. Where are you? Over here. Her sister's voice came through the darkness, echoing off the alley walls. Riley pushed forward, dragging the billionaire with her. As they rounded the corner, they spotted her, Tara, breathless and wild-eyed, crouching against a brick wall. Did they follow you? Tara asked, darting her eyes around, analyzing the shadows. Not yet, the billionaire replied, urgency dripping from his voice. We need to leave, and fast. Wait, Tara hissed, laying a hand on Riley's shoulder, her expression serious. I need to tell you something about the baby. What? Now? Panic gripped Riley's throat. Yes, but we can't talk here. Tara scanned the dark alley, looking for threats. They want your baby. It's bigger than just a ransom. They're using your child for something much worse. Riley's stomach twisted with dread at the implications. What are you saying? I can't explain everything now, but you're wrapped up in something dangerous. A loud crash reverberated off the alley's walls, then the heavy thud of boots approaching fast. The men were coming, growing louder with each heartbeat. Run! Tara shouted, urgency escalating as three figures appeared at the alley's mouth, their sinister silhouettes blocking the way out. Riley's breath caught. In that split second, she grasped the gravity of her situation. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for an entire world that had darkened and twisted around her life. She turned to the billionaire, a frantic look surging through her. What do we do? But as his eyes locked with hers, flickers of darkness moved closer, the sense of control slipping away. In that moment, Riley knew one thing for sure: she had to fight, and she had to fight hard. As they prepared for an inevitable clash, a terrifying thought struck her. What other secrets lay in the depths of what they were running from? The shadow of the past loomed larger than ever, and with it, the specter of betrayal. Are you ready? The billionaire whispered, the weight of the world on his shoulders. Riley swallowed hard. I hope so. The next moment unfurled with the tension of a tightly coiled spring, and with every heartbeat, they inched closer to a revelation that could change everything. But as they turned to confront their fate, a piercing scream echoed through the stillness, sending every hair on her body to stand on end. Who was screaming, and why did that sound of terror shake her to the core? Riley's heart thundered in her chest, a primal instinct to flee, battling against a sudden need to uncover the source of that scream. It pierced the air again, jagged and desperate. Tara, we can't stick around, the billionaire urged, pulling at her arm, but Riley stood rooted, her mind racing. Someone is in trouble, she exclaimed, torn between fear and empathy. The scream echoed once more, chilling her blood, a sound that demanded action, not retreat. Then we need to help them. Tara's eyes shone with fierce determination. The contradiction between their lives and the stranger's agony felt unbearable. We need to find safety first, the billionaire protested, glancing back at the advancing shadows. No. Riley's voice sliced through the air with fresh resolve. If we don't help, it could be too late. If it were us, she couldn't finish. The thought was suffocating. The decision settled heavily on her shoulders. She turned, adrenaline pumping through her veins, urging her feet forward. She ran toward the sound, with Tara and the billionaire reluctantly following. As they rounded the corner, the alley opened into a decrepit courtyard, littered with trash and abandoned furniture, the remnants of lives discarded like broken dreams. There, amidst the shadows, they found a woman bruised and bloodied, her hands bound behind her. Please, help me, she gasped, her voice trembling with fear. The sight buckled Riley's knees, but steeled her courage. Step back, Tara snapped, instinctively shielding Riley. Who did this to you? The billionaire growled, his eyes sweeping the courtyard for unseen threats. They came out of nowhere, the woman cried, her breath ragged. They were looking for someone. Please, you have to hide me. A sharp noise broke the tense atmosphere. A door creaked open on the far side of the courtyard. Figures began to emerge, their silhouettes sharp against the warped glow spilling from the building behind them. Tara, we can't stay, Riley urged, her voice strained. We have to move. Just as she turned to flee, the woman's eyes flicked to hers, narrowed in recognition. No, you're the one they want. A chill shot down Riley's spine. What? Your baby. They think you have the key. The woman's voice twisted in desperation. Panic clawed at Riley's throat, choking the breath from her lungs. Key? What are you talking about? But before the woman could answer, the men stepped into view, three hulking figures, their expressions twisted with malice, eyes gleaming like predatory animals. One of them noticed us, the billionaire hissed, taking a protective stance in front of Riley and Tara. We need a distraction. Here, Riley shouted, grasping an old garbage can lid from the ground. She tossed it far into the shadows, its metallic clang echoing. Go! Tara pulled on Riley's arm as the men turned toward the noise, confusion clouding their brutal intent. They moved as a unit, darting back into the alley, but Riley's mind raced with dread. The woman's warning echoed hauntingly. What key? What had Tara and her been unwittingly dragged into? Each question lodged deeper into her mind like a splinter, infuriating her with its pain. Where are we going? Tara breathed, her eyes wide with terror. Not far, the billionaire urged, glancing back as they sprinted deeper into the maze of alleyways. But even as they ran, Riley felt the weight of the world pressing in on them, a clock ticking down to an unseen fate. She could feel at the moment they were running directly towards something far worse than whatever haunted their past. As they rounded another corner, they halted abruptly. In front of them, a blockade of cars sat abandoned. The flickering streetlights cast eerie shadows, amplifying their desperation. What now? Tara panted, scanning for any signs of escape, but Riley's eyes fell on a single glint beneath a nearby car. Look! She pointed frantically. A small child was huddled underneath, clutching something shiny. A toy? No, a key. We have to get it. Tara, stay close, the billionaire ordered as he moved toward the car. But time was not on their side. Just behind them, the echoes of footfalls grew louder, desperate hands reaching for what they wanted most. Come on, Riley urged, her heart racing. We can't leave without that key. As they edged closer, the sounds from behind were almost deafening. A murky darkness encroached upon them, dissolving any fleeting hope. Just as the billionaire bent down, an explosion of light erupted behind them. Get down! Tara screamed, throwing herself protectively over Riley as a blast rocked the ground. A warning shot? The answer loomed over them like a closing curtain, the cruel hand of fate tightening around their throats. Riley realized they weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for answers buried deep within hidden secrets, and the moment drew close when they couldn't escape the truth any longer. As the dust settled, she turned to the others, dread pooling in her chest. What if it's already too late? And then, amidst the chaos, the sound of a child giggling rang out, pure and untouched. Had they truly wandered into something larger than themselves? Riley's heart raced, tangled in uncertainty as she pulled at Tara's arm. We need to go. Panic seeped into her voice, but Tara stood frozen, unable to process the echo of that child's innocent laughter amidst the horror. Riley, wait. Tara's eyes darted, scanning the courtyard once more. The shadows shifted with each ominous step of the approaching figures. The billionaire wanted to protect them, but right now, every shadow felt like a lurking threat, ready to pounce. What if it's just a trap? Tara whispered, her voice trembling. What if they're using the child? Go now. Riley cut her off, clenching her fists. The child, a fleeting figure caught in the dim light, was a beacon, calling to Riley's maternal instincts. The billionaire gritted his teeth, determination etched across his strong features. I'll get the child. Just cover me. He pressed forward, each step heavy with urgency. The reality of their situation felt like a noose tightening around their necks. Just be careful, Tara shouted, her voice shaking with the weight of their predicament. Riley watched, barely breathing, as he dove under the car. The moment felt stretched, suspended in fear. Time trickled like molasses. Even the laughter from below grew eerie, like the calm before a storm. Got it, the billionaire exclaimed, a triumphant glint in his eye as he held out the small, shiny object. Come on, let us go, Riley urged again, but her words died in her throat. The laughter had stopped, replaced by a quiet, almost chilling silence that flooded the courtyard. Suddenly, a shrill command sliced through the tense air. Find them. They can't get away. Menacing figures emerged from the shadows, their eyes scanning the courtyard, hungry and relentless. Riley's stomach flipped, fear coiled around her heart, squeezing. Now, Tara yelled, pulling Riley back toward the alley. But the clearing felt like a trap, shadows closing in around them. Riley's instincts kicked into overdrive. This way, she shouted as she pointed toward a narrow side alley that branched off from the courtyard. The darkness seemed inviting, swallowing them whole as they darted inside. The alley was tight, the scent of damp concrete and garbage overwhelming. Their breaths came in ragged bursts, mingling with the noise of pursuit behind them. The echo of rapid footsteps like a thunderstorm grew louder, threatening to drown them in fear. "Where does this lead?" Tara breathed, fear weaving through her words. "I don't know. Just keep moving," Riley urged, but her own uncertainty gnawed at her, dark and biting. Each turn seemed to draw them deeper into a maze of despair. Alleyways branched off in every direction, taunting their sense of direction. The raw fear pushing her forward was nearly unbearable. A sudden burst of activity erupted from behind, men shouting harshly. "You brought her here. Don't let her get away." Riley's heart sank. "What do they want with me?" The woman's frantic words replayed in her mind, the key looming larger than ever. Tara glanced behind them, her eyes wide with panic. "We can't keep running without a plan." "Then think. We can't let them catch us." "Riley, look." The billionaire gestured ahead. A flickering light shone at the end of the alley, illuminating a doorway that looked both promising and foreboding. "Let us take our chance," Riley said, hope mingling with dread. But as they sprinted toward the light, the cold realization struck her. No matter what lay beyond that door, somewhere in the growing darkness the truth lingered waiting, watching, poised to change everything. Just as they reached for the door handle, the sounds of pursuit erupted again, louder than before, closing in like a stampede. A horrifying thought seized her. What if this was the end? With one last glance behind, she saw the shadowy figures, eyes glinting in the dark, coming closer. In that moment, she knew they were not just fleeing, they were diving into an unknown fate. As the door creaked open to the unknown, an inevitable question echoed in her mind. Could they ever escape what haunted them, or would they become just another shadow? Lost to the night? Riley's hand hovered over the door handle, trembling. The moment felt like an eternity, and her heartbeat thundered in her ears. Fear slipped through her fingers like water just as the shadows loomed behind her, relentless in pursuit. "Riley!" Tara's urgent whisper snapped her back to reality. She pushed the door open, and they stumbled inside, the musty air hitting them like a wall. The door slammed shut with a dull thud, masking the outside world in an abrupt hush. The light from the alley poured in, illuminating a narrow hallway lined with peeling wallpaper. Unlike the darkness outside, this place felt trapped in time. Dust swirled in the stale air, caught in the dim glow of an old bulb flickering overhead. "Where are we?" Tara's voice wavered, searching for reassurance. "Just keep moving," Riley breathed, forcing herself to walk down the hall. They took quiet steps, each one laced with the weight of their recent escape. She could still hear the echoes of their pursuers outside, barking orders that chilled her to her core. A loud crash echoed from the door behind them, shattering her momentary reprieve. They sprinted down the hallway as the sound of pounding footsteps began to follow. Panic clawed at her throat. There would be no solace here, no safety. As they reached the end of the hall, they found a door, slightly ajar, beckoning them like a siren's call. With a determined push, Riley flung it open. They plunged into a room that felt both familiar and foreign. Shelves cluttered with dusty relics lined the walls, and newspapers were strewn haphazardly across a table, their headlines speaking of vanished hopes and cold cases. "What is this place?" Tara asked, her eyes darting around the room, searching for a clue, a hint of something. "I don't know, but we don't have time," Riley said, her breath ragged. "We need to find a way out." Then Riley's gaze fell upon something that sent an icy shiver down her spine. A framed photograph lay face down on the table. Something pulled at her, urging her to flip it over. Against her better judgment, she reached for it, feeling Tara's eyes on her, heavy with fear. As she turned the frame, the faces of the people in the picture crashed over her like a wave. They looked unassuming enough, smiling broadly, arms around one another, but Riley felt as if she'd been struck. The man in the picture, dark hair, blue eyes, was the billionaire. He was younger, and beside him stood a woman who looked oddly familiar. "Riley?" Tara's voice broke her reverie. "What is wrong?" She was frozen, fixed on the photograph. Instantly, pieces began falling into place, yet the urgency clawed at her heart. Why was he here? What did it mean? Then a surge of crashing sounds erupted from the door. The figures from the courtyard were closing in, and Riley saw the fear reflected in Tara's eyes. "Hide!" Riley hissed. They darted to the side of the room, ducking behind a worn-out armchair just as the door flung open. "What do we do?" Tara whispered, her body stiff with fear. Riley clutched her chest, feeling wild desperation swirl inside her. She needed answers, but time was running out like sand slipping through her fingers. As footsteps encroached and shadows loomed over the doorway, a profound realization struck this time. It was more than just escape. It was a fight to uncover the truth, one that might bind them to a fate neither were prepared for. "Riley!" Tara's whisper pulled her back. "What if they find us?" The crunch of boots on debris filled the air, drowning out any other sound, mirroring the chaos in her heart. With her breath caught in her throat, Riley faced the shadows growing larger in the doorway. Knowing they were hidden only for a moment, she braced herself. Because the truth waited on the other side of this storm. Perhaps it was nothing she could have ever imagined. What unseen connections would unfold? What secrets lay buried in her past, longing to surface? She felt the walls of her world closing in, and the question lurked heavy on her mind. Would they survive the truth, or would it crush them both? The door creaked ominously, the hinges worn from years of neglect. Riley's heart raced as two dark silhouettes stepped into the room. She held her breath, praying they wouldn't notice the slight disturbance near the armchair. "What are we even looking for?" One figure grunted, their voice harsh and steady, cutting through the stagnant air like a knife. "Information," the other replied, the tone clipped with urgency. "We know she came here. Search everything." Riley felt Tara's hand clutch her arm tightly, fingers digging into her skin. In that moment, both girls were still, frozen by fear and uncertainty. The strangers fanned out, their bodies casting menacing shadows all around. The tall one approached the table, eyes scanning over the scattered newspapers. They bent down, revealing the dull glint of a badge clipped to his belt. A chill crept down Riley's spine. He was law enforcement, but why were they searching this place? What connection did it have to the billionaire? Tara whispered, "We need to get out of here." Riley nodded, unable to process the implications of what they both were witnessing. If they found the photograph, or worse, discovered them hiding, there would be no escape. The officer continued to investigate, flipping through newspapers. A headline caught Riley's eye: "A billionaire's sudden disappearance, a community left in shock." The words felt like a punch to her gut. "Check the drawers," the other officer commanded. "We need every lead. That girl's life might depend on it." Riley's mind raced. What girl? Did they mean her? The tension in the room thickened, suffocating. She knew they had to move. Someone's life was at stake, and it might not just be their own. The duo rifled through old files. Riley scanned the room looking for an escape route. A flicker of movement in the corner caught her eye, a grand window partially boarded up, slivers of light seeping through the gaps. It was their only chance. "On three," she whispered to Tara, her heart thumping double time. 1, 2, 3. They dashed toward the window as one of the officers turned, a startled expression crossing his face. The girls lunged and pushed against the lightweight wood. It groaned but held. They pressed harder, desperation fueling their strength. "Stop!" A commanding voice roared behind them. "Get back here!" Terror propelled Riley forward as the boards splintered beneath their force and the window swung open. Tara was through first, tumbling into the space beyond. Riley followed closely, their feet hitting solid ground outside. As Riley turned to yank the window shut, a hand shot out, gripping her wrist. Panic surged within her. She twisted, slamming her other elbow back. The officer staggered, but didn't drop her. "Let go!" she screamed. With a surge of adrenaline, Riley yanked free, stumbling backward into the cool night. They were in an alley, dark and narrow, and the shadows swallowed them whole. "This way," Tara urged, pointing toward a dimly lit street ahead. They sprinted together, fear coursing through their veins as they rounded a corner, breathless and wide-eyed. "What now?" Tara panted, glancing over her shoulder. Riley's mind raced through their options, the photograph still playing in her thoughts. What had she stumbled into? What did she truly know about the billionaire and about herself? "No more hiding," she gasped, determination surging. "We need answers, and I think I know where to start." As they dashed into the embrace of the streets, fresh chaos awaited them. A black SUV idled nearby, its taillights glowing red, unmarked but ominous. The realization struck with a gut-wrenching force. They were being watched again. "Who is that?" Tara whimpered, trembling beside her. Riley swallowed hard, heart racing. "I don't know, but we need to find out." It was a dangerous game they were playing, and with every step forward, the shadows darkened behind them. What awaited at the intersection of truth and danger? "Riley, wait." Tara's voice trembled, but Riley was already moving toward the SUV, drawn by a compulsion she couldn't explain, as if the answers lay within that darkened vehicle. And just like that, the hunter and hunted danced closer to each other, entwined in a fate woven by secrets and answers that might shatter everything they believed. What would she uncover when they finally confronted the past? What if the truth was more than curses and shadows, but chains that tied them to an even darker fate? The streets were eerily quiet as Riley and Tara stood by the unmarked SUV, its imposing frame casting long shadows in the waning moonlight. Riley felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her. Her heart hammered in her chest, every instinct screaming that they were stepping into a dangerous game. "Are you sure about this?" Tara whispered, her eyes wide with trepidation. Riley turned to face her sister, searching for reassurance, but she found only echoes of their past, the smiles they once shared, the laughter that now felt like a distant memory. Riley steeled herself, fueled by the fierce love she had for her baby, for the need to uncover every thread of this tangled mess. Before she could answer, the air shifted. The SUV's passenger door swung open, revealing a figure shrouded in shadow. The moonlight glinted off sharp features, illuminating the cold determination in his eyes. "Get in. We need to talk." Riley hesitated, glancing at Tara. "What do we do?" Tara squared her shoulders, an unexpected rush of resolve flooding her. "If this person knows anything about what's happening, we can't ignore the chance to find out." With a deep breath, they climbed into the SUV. The interior felt alien polished leather, whispering hints of power and secrets. The man behind the wheel didn't waste time. "They're coming for you, both of you. They want the baby." Riley felt her blood run cold, panic grabbing hold of her throat. "How do you know this?" His jaw tightened. "Because I've been tracking them for months. They're part of a larger syndicate, much larger than you realize. They've been searching for the key, and that key is with your child." "Key? What are you talking about?" Riley demanded, her pulse racing. She needed answers, desperately sought clarity amidst the storm. "It's complicated. Your baby is tied to a legacy that many would kill to control." Tara's gaze flicked to Riley, anxiety evident. "A legacy?" He nodded, fingers tapping the steering wheel with impatient urgency. "I can explain more on the way, but we don't have much time. You have to trust me." Riley weighed his words, desperately searching herself for any glimmers of understanding. The man's intensity, the urgency of his mission, it felt real. After all they had endured, could they afford another chance? "Okay. We'll listen," Riley said, a hint of determination creeping into her voice. Without warning, the car jolted forward, the engine roaring to life as they sped through the empty streets. The city blurred by, a chaotic reminder of the world they were leaving behind. "We need to reach the safe house. There's more information there, things that could change everything." Riley felt adrenaline coursing through her as they raced into the night. But that familiar weight of dread sat on her chest like a stone, a reminder that every moment was laced with uncertainty. Kyle, the billionaire, had vanished, joining the puzzle pieces she was desperate to fit together. Just as the tension built, a loud blare of sirens pierced the air. The weight shifted, the grim reality of their situation crashed back down on them. "They've found us." The man shouted, panic flashing across his features. Drive faster, Tara urged, her voice fierce. The wheels screeched as they raced through an intersection, narrowly avoiding collision with another vehicle, a near miss that sent their hearts into overdrive. Riley clutched the edge of her seat, the world outside blurring into a streak of neon chaos. As the sirens grew louder, the man shifted into another lane, desperately seeking an escape route. Keep your heads down, he barked, eyes darting through the rearview mirror. Their lives hung in the balance. The shadows loomed thick around them, pressing down with every second. The city, their home, had transformed into a labyrinth of danger and darkness. Where are we going? Riley panted, the enormity of their situation striking hard. Somewhere safe, he replied, urgency lacing his tone. I promise. Riley felt the knots tighten in her stomach. They had trusted before, only to be betrayed by the past. How could they gamble their lives on faith again? Just then, in the dim alley ahead, an unusual figure caught her eye. A small child was playing, seemingly unaware of the chaos around them. A pang of warmth washed over her, a reminder of what they were fighting for. Stop, she gasped, the words spilling from her lips without thought. What? We can't, Tara shouted, fear mingling with confusion. But Riley's heart knew. We have to help them. If it's connected, Riley. No, the man snapped, aggression and concern woven through his voice. But Riley couldn't ignore it. She had to reach out. Stop the car. He reluctantly pressed the brakes, his expression twisting in disbelief. The SUV screeched to a halt, and Riley leapt out before he could protest. Desperation drove her forward, adrenaline fueling every step. Hey, she called to the child, her heart racing with maternal instinct, each beat echoing with urgency. Come here. But before she could reach the child, shadows emerged from the dark figures, pulling the child back into the folds of darkness, an unmistakable threat. The sight paralyzed her, terror clawed at the pit of her stomach. No, Riley screamed, but her voice was drowned out by the growl of the SUV's engine and the blaring of horns. The child, just a flicker of innocence, vanished into the night, and Riley felt an ache in her heart, a deep-seated realization of her own vulnerability. They're getting away, the man shouted, abruptly cutting through the surreal moment. But Riley couldn't shake the image, her thoughts tangled in a web of dread. Keep going, she ordered, her heart racing through the chaos. We need to find my baby, we need the answers. With a determined push, they tore back into the night, shadows chasing their every move, the forgotten truth lurking just out of reach. As they barreled down side streets, the man gripped the wheel with a fierce intensity, shadows closing in behind. The reality of their fight dawned. This wasn't just about survival, but a battle between the light of truth and the dark confinement of lies. Riley glanced back at Tara, the unbroken bond of sisterhood woven tighter than before. Whatever happens, we face it together. Tara nodded, but the uncertainty of every breath loomed. Their world hung in a delicate balance, and as the night grew thicker, they knew each choice would ripple. Riley steeled herself, a burning fire in her chest. It's time to make those shadows finally reveal their secrets. And as they plunged deeper into the heart of the unknown, the anticipation suffocated them, wrapping tightly around their hearts and souls. With every heart-stopping moment, they inched closer to answers that might shatter everything they believed. But nothing would keep her from her baby. Nothing. Riley took a deep breath, the warmth of determination flooding her. I'm not backing down. The fight for families, for truths, and for their lives was only just beginning now. We're at the end of this wild ride, but don't forget to keep supporting us. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next twist in this amazing journey. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Don't hold back. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what just went down. And for the love of all that's good, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this conclusion with you. Don't wait even one more second. You're the ones who keep this storytelling magic alive, and we can't do it without you.